and the signed choir from the Victorian School for Deaf Children with the Australian Army Band, Melbourne. Thank you.
Australians all, let us rejoice, for we are young and free. With golden soil and wealth for toil, our skirt by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, our beauty rich and fair. In history, every affair, enjoy, sing, and pray.
And so the formalities are all but done. You have a bird of a wonderful arena. The weather, as Gerard said earlier in his Mitsubishi Motors report, is a little tricky. The wind in particular. Which side will be able to handle it best? Michael Tuck, what an extraordinary man. 38 finals. Let's go down for the all-important toss. Here's Gerard.
Yes, Darryl Braithwaite's got the coin. He's just waiting on John Worsfold, who has disappeared somewhat. So he's going to be a couple around looking for the umpire. If I was to win the toss, I'd be kicking to the main scoreboard end. There's a very blustery wind. There's no doubt that that will be the end favourite. Here comes John now, over with umpire John Russo. He shakes his hand. And up it goes, the coin. It's a heads, won by John Worsfold, and he has elected to kick with the wind.
So the Eagles have won the toss. Johnny Worsfold kicking with the breeze. We've had a look from above. Let's go up above now in the chopper.
Sandy, VFL Park is a picture, packed to capacity. If there's a spare seat down there anywhere, I can't see it. The opening ceremony was spectacular as the balloons continue to disperse around us here. The stage is now well and truly set to one of the most eagerly awaited grand finals in a number of years. North have already beaten South in the earlier game. Now East takes on West in the big grand final. What a great atmosphere.
Thank you, Bill. We're set for a history-making afternoon. In the commentary position this afternoon, we have Dennis Cometti, Don Scott and Bruce McAvaney. Gentlemen, welcome.
Thank you, Sandy Roberts, and welcome to Don and Dennis. It is a tremendous atmosphere here. Don, you captained Hawthorn to 2 premierships in 76 and 78. You know what the feeling's like, and Dennis, you've been in Perth for a long, long time now, and you know the occasion here. Don, what about the start? Hawthorn renowned for getting away quick.
In the finals games, the 2 previous finals games of this year, they really did play finals football. They put their bodies behind the ball and put the score on the board, and the others had to play catch-up football.
Got to say too, Bruce, a good toss to win this one. The Eagles will have first use of the breeze. Strong.
Hawthorn has led in 6 of the 7 grand finals they played in the 80s. Only when Essendon beat them in 85 were they behind a quarter time. So they are renowned for getting a flying start. We'll look for the matchups here. Mainwaring and Wilson the key in terms of fitness for both. West Coast is Mainwaring with his left thigh strapped. Brereton and Mew, some worries about both of them in the last fortnight, but it's good to see the 20 players selected out there.
Irving is out there too, yes. Some conjecture about that. Dermot.
Morrissey's got the job again on Lewis too. Dennis, he had that in the earlier game over in Perth, and he really did make mincemeat of Chris Lewis in that particular game. James Morrissey.
Well, it's been worth waiting for, hasn't it? 5 years ago, and here they are. The West Coast Eagles in a grand final. Great for the national competition. And certainly one of the Eagles' stars right there. Collins and Anderson come off the ground.
Kemp and Lamb for West Coast.
Surprised that Collins is going off, Don?
Yes, I am, Bruce, because he's their best and fairest last year, and he played in the back pocket.
Well, he started on the bench in the qualifying final in Perth, didn't he?
He hasn't had the best of seasons.
McIntosh for Brereton and Brennan for Dunstall. Lockyer for Deere. So Don will keep an eye on all of those.
9 points the margin, and the key forwards for the respective sides have been in the thick of things. The West Coast Eagles 5-1, 31. Peter Sumich has kicked 3. Hawthorn 3-4, 22. Jason Dunstall has booted 2. If you haven't entered our Mark of the Year competition as yet, time is running out. Do so in the next few minutes.
7 Sport Mitsubishi Motors Mark of the Year. Your phone vote could win you a Mitsubishi Magna. Dial the phone number on the mark you want to vote for. Mark 1, Peter Somerville, Essendon. Mark 2, Brett Allison, North Melbourne. Mark 3, Stuart Lowe, St Kilda. Mark 4, Derek Kickett, Essendon. Mark 5, Dale Lewis, Sydney. The winner of the Mark of the Year will also receive a Mitsubishi Magna. You have until 4 p.m. today to register your vote.
5 tremendous marks. Which one will you choose? Note the number of the player you like and get on the phone now. Don't forget, you've got until 4 o'clock this afternoon. And if you're having trouble getting through, then please keep trying in our Mark of the Year.
Nervous start for West Coast. They kicked 4 goals then in 7 minutes and then relinquished a good break with 2 goals to Dunstall in the last minute. There's Anderson and Collins warming up, and a first quarter that had plenty going. There's Chris Lewis getting heavily involved with Ray Jenke, and the brawl that got out of control for a little while, Don Scott.
Yeah, so a lot of these niggly little things you can see there. It doesn't take a brave man to do what Pritchard's doing. There'll be a couple of other Hawthorn players coming in, like Hudson there, and Condon will come running in.
It came at a very bad time too, Don, as far as the West Coast Eagles were concerned. If they started that, as it appeared they did, silly.
Half-time in the 91 Grand Final. Hawthorn 7-12-54. The West Coast 7-2-44. Peter Sumich has 4 of those goals. Hawthorn kicked 4 goals, 8 in the second quarter, and really did threaten to run away with this game, but some effective late goals by the Eagles keep them in it. Touch and go, wasn't it really, Roscoe?
It was. Those 2 goals by Lewis and Sumich, Sandy Lake, were very telling ones. The other important factor, Mick Malthouse made 8 moves in that quarter alone, and Alan Joyce just the 1. It did get them back in the game. They settled down a little bit more in that last part of that second quarter, Robbo, but Hawthorn still look in control to me.
Yeah, it was pretty exciting stuff, the early part, wasn't it, when the Eagles got away to 4 goals without Hawthorn getting their first goal. But looking at the statistics for the second quarter, I'd say Hawthorn probably were even better than that. Looking at the game, Ross, that they certainly had plenty of opportunities. I think you noted that they kicked, 4-8 in that second term. And the Eagles getting those late goals in the second quarter have given them some chance. They're only trailed by 10 points.
There's far more purposeful Hawthorn were at their disposal, no question of that.
I thought Lawrence early, he was beaten because he was standing too far back from the centre bouncers, and Irving gave the Eagles a bit of a start. Platten was very good early, and a couple of the players for the Eagles who were very, very prominent were Matera, and on the other wing, Mainwaring has done very well. Thank you, gentlemen. More than 70,000 fans here this afternoon, some of them obviously very hungry. We'll take a break. We've got some wonderful entertainment lined up for you. I hope you can stay with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Australian Football League is proud to present some of Australia's champions. Please welcome Australian cricket captain and the man who has made more runs than any other Australian batsman, Alan Border. Joined today by Australian cricket vice captain, Jeff Marsh. Golfing hero and the winner of the 1991 British Open, Ian Baker Finch. Ian is joined today by the current world motor pace champion, Danny Clark. Our Olympic marathon silver medalist and Commonwealth gold medalist 1986 and 1990, Lisa Ondiki. Joined today by her husband and the current world champion over 5,000 metres, Job Zondiki. Commonwealth silver medalist, winner of the Berlin Marathon in 1990, Steve Monaghetti. Steve is joined today by Kathy Freeman, Young Australian of the Year and Commonwealth gold medalist in the 4x100 relay. Representing the world of boxing, the winner of 3 World Boxing Championships and the only Australian to win 3 titles at different weights, Jeff Fennick. English Channel swimmers extraordinaire, welcome Lindy and Susie Moroney. Susie set the world record for the double crossing of the Channel earlier this year. World record holder for the 800 metres freestyle, 1500 metres silver medalist at the World Championships and winner of 3 gold medals at the Pan-Pacific Championships this year. Make welcome Kieran Perkins. Welcome the Awesome Foursome, winners of the World Coxless Fours in 1990 and 1991. Nick Green, Mike McKay, Andrew Cooper, and James Tompkins. The World Cup diving champion Simon McCormick, accompanied by fencing star, the current under-17 FA champion, Seamus Robinson. Tennis stars, Liz Smiley, 1991 Wimbledon mixed doubles winner, winner of 2 US Open mixed doubles titles, and Wimbledon doubles winner 1985 and 1990. Liz is joined by fellow doubles champion, John Fitzgerald. John is French, US and Wimbledon doubles champion 1991. Liz and John are the 1991 mixed doubles Wimbledon champions. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we are proud to welcome former world bantamweight champion Lionel Rhodes. Joined by guest, the Fighting Harada. And representing a wealth of champions, our Special Olympians. Paul Quick, the gold medalist 400 metres at the 1991 International Summer Special Olympic Games. And Brian McNichol. Brian broke the world record at the 1991 World Wheelchair Weightlifting Championships in the United States. And finally, the 1991 Brownlow medalist, Jimmy Steins. Please welcome Australia's famous marathon champion and current director of the Australian Institute of Sport, Rob De Castella. Accompanied by one of the patrons of the Paralympics, Angry Anderson.
Don't move, will you? Sport crosses all barriers and embraces all nations. Australia is a country rich in sporting pride and history. We are proud of our champions, and I'm sure I speak for all of you when I wish all of our Olympians the very best as they prepare for Barcelona, bound for glory. We also extend our support to the city of Sydney in their quest to bring the Olympic Games to Australia in the year 2000.
Melbourne, let's show the world what we're made of! Bound for glory! Life's tough, so what? I'm alive. I've been down, seen hard times, I survived. You know, I learned these lessons at the school of hard knocks, and I know that life's worth living. Can't hold me down, can't hold me back. Sing, bound for glory. Oh, we're bound for glory. A heartfelt victory is a warrior's destiny. Bound for glory. Today we are. I fight and I win, 'cause I'm strong. Yes, we stand tall, our heads high, 'cause we belong. Yes, and I learned these lessons. Pain made me strong, and I know that life's worth living. So I know what's right, I know what's wrong. Sing, Melbourne! Oh, we're bound for glory. A heartfelt victory is a warrior's destiny. Bound for glory, you and I. Oh, you can't hold back the tide when it starts to turn. You can't go back, you can't turn back. It's the lesson we learn. Come on, Melbourne, sing with me. You know, I learned my lessons as the pain made me strong. And I know that life's worth living. So I know what's right, I know what's wrong. Bound for glory, sing it, Melbourne. Bound for glory. A heartfelt victory is a warrior's destiny. Bound for glory, you and I. We're bound for glory, bound for glory. Oh, we're bound for glory. On this Saturday, bound for glory, bound for glory. Oh, we're bound for glory, yeah. Bound for glory. A heartfelt victory must be a warrior's destiny. Bound for glory. We are Melbourne Solo. Thank you, Melbourne. Bound for glory. Thank you, Melbourne.
Please show your support for our Olympians going to Barcelona by giving a donation to the Olympic representative as you leave the ground today.
One side this afternoon is bound for glory. Who will it be? Hawthorn or the West Coast Eagles? The second half's coming up of the 91 Grand Final.
I love her for horizons. I love her jeweled sea, her beauty and her terror.
Who's it going to be, the Mighty Hawks or the West Coast Eagles? Well, only one of these fantastic AFL Premiership Team T-shirts will be on sale in Kmart stores. Kmart have the exclusive on this genuine article, and at $15 and $20, they're great value. But remember, only one of these T-shirts will be available after the Grand Final. Kmart, Australia's leading sporting goods retailer. Get yourself a piece of football history.
Welcome back, and while the pulse of Perth is throbbing, the streets are virtually deserted. Get in front of a television wherever you are in Perth and enjoy the Grand Final. That's what's happening at the showroom of the Burswood Casino, and also there is our very own Grant Retallick. So let's cross to Grant now, and I'm sure everyone on tenterhooks with the second half coming up.
Yes, I can tell you, the Eagles supporters here have found their voices again. They went strangely quiet in the second quarter, but they've found their voice again. Can they win it?
Like Angry said, we're bound for glory! Eagles, bound for glory! I love you, darling!
The only Hawthorn supporter I managed to find, mind you.
Hawthorn!
I'll leave you with it.
I love darling! Yes!
Thank you, Grant. Imagine what it's going to be like if they get up and win today. Well, the Eagles are out on the ground for the second half. Not out on the ground, but searching his way throughout this crowd of over 70,000 is Gerard Healy. He's found our special guest entertainer, Daryl Braithwaite.
Thanks, Sandy. Well, Daryl, over nearly 80,000 people. How is the atmosphere out in the middle?
I reckon it's really tense. I mean, I've never been out here for the opening of the grand final, but God, I mean, I'd hate to be a player. It's just tense.
The electricity must have made the feedback a little bit tight.
Yeah, well, I've never done this before. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, it's been an honour and a thrill to sing here and to watch the game at close proximity. It's been amazing. And there's only 10 points in it, so I don't know. West Coast are looking good, I reckon.
Well, you've got a big two of you
behind, but I still think they'll come up and maybe just win it.
Well, that's a fair prediction at this stage. You've got a big tour yourself coming up. Can we expect crowds of this magnitude?
Well, if I get this many on the Don't Hold Back tour, which starts in November, I'll be really happy.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
The Hawks coming out onto the ground now for the second half. Let's now cross back to Peter McKenna and Bernie Quinlan and see what news they have.
Well, I got into the Hawthorn rooms. It's typical Hawthorn. They let you in here. I was actually first into the rooms, and very, very low key. They all sat around. They put their feet up on the benches. A lot of players getting rub downs. Johnny Platten seemed to be doing all the talking, saying to give it a good 10 to 15 of hard yakka, go in hard and unsettle the West Coast Eagles. Bernie, did you get in the West Coast rooms?
Well, I couldn't get into the rooms, Pete. I was trying to do a bit of snooping down in one of the alleyways where there was a West Coast official positioned, and when he saw me coming, he shoved me out of the way and pushed me back into the alleyway. So they're very, very tense down there in the West Coast Eagles room, but you could hear a few words from Mick. He was certainly roaring at the troops at half-time and urging them on for the big second half.
Well, I think it'll be a great second half. Back to you, Sandy.
And Peter McKenna, as we look at the individual stats, and we start with Paul Deere.
Very lively on the forward line. Great second term.
And West Coast, David Hart has got the job on John Platten. Last week, Hart picked up 19 kicks and had the solitary handball. He's had 11 possessions up to half-time.
John Platten going in very solidly, as he always does. Even spread of figures there.
And Don Pike, he's always got a job, and this week it's on a former teammate. It's Ben Allen, and he's picked up 12 possessions. Last week he had 21 for the game, and was one of their better players for the West Coast.
James Morrissey, 17 possessions to half-time, has eclipsed Chris Lewis.
And Guy McKenna, the 1989 best and fairest for West Coast. He's had the honour of Jarman being taken off him, and that's a compliment.
So some of the individual stats there. The Hawthorn players grouping. Lockyer and Waters, the two that have come off for West Coast, and Collins and Anderson, the two that started on the interchange, coming off for Hawthorn. So viewers at every vantage point here at VFL Park and right around Australia. There's Collins and Anderson going off, so no change there. Repeating Lockyer and Waters off. Lewis again playing in the goal square with Sumich. West Coast with the breeze.
Kemp's got Hudson too, Bruce.
There's the West Coast bench. Turley in the centre square here.
Three-quarter time in the 91 grand final, 10 points the margin, but Hawthorn coming home with the breeze. The Hawks, 12-15, 87, Paul Deere, Dermot Brereton and Jason Dunstall, each have kicked 2 goals. The West Coast Eagles, 12-5, 77, Brett Heady, 3 goals in that quarter for a game tally of 4. Peter Sumich has 4, and Chris Lewis has kicked 2.
Today's game is part of the Carlton and United Breweries 1991 AFL Premiership season.
Michael Malthouse talking with his charges, asking for one desperate final quarter if they are to taste glory. Alan Joyce, very brief, spoken to his players and has left the ground. We've seen some great marks throughout the year. Of course, as you are now aware, we've cut it down to just 5, and the winner of our Mark of the Year competition will be announced at the conclusion of today's match. Of course, looking ahead to tomorrow's Sports World tomorrow morning, and of course the aftermath of all today's football. We've got a big day of racing in Sydney. It's George Main Stakes Day. Lionel Rose and Fighting Harada will be our special guests, and the BMWs prepare for the great race at Bathurst. Well, we've got more than 70,000 fans here today, and right now Gerard Healy has a fairly keen Hawthorn supporter with him.
Mr. Bob Hawke with us at the present time. Mr. Hawke, at the start of the game, you expected Hawthorn to win the close one. What's your thoughts at the present time?
I think they're pretty well placed to win now. They both kicked 5-3 in that quarter, which favoured the West Coast Eagles with the breeze, so it was a pretty good defensive quarter by Hawthorn. So I expect them to win, and I hope it continues to be a fairly close game. I think you've got to admire the West Coast Eagles the way they hang in there, Gerard.
Yes, you certainly do. You get to many special sporting events. This one must hold a real special place in your diary.
Yeah, there's something special about an AFL Grand Final, and normally we have it at the MCG, but I think this has provided a great atmosphere here today.
There's a great celebration of the whole of Australian sport at half-time.
Yeah, it's we've got a lot to be proud of, a hell of a lot to be proud of. You know, for a nation of 17 million people in a world of 5.5 billion, we're a little bit better than our numbers would suggest.
Well, it's not long until we get back to the action. Thanks for having a talk.
It's been good. Thanks, Alan.
Let's join Peter McKenna and Bernie Quinlan.
Alan Joyce said that look, forget about the win, to get in, to do what you did in the second quarter, go in hard, get control of the ball, keep it in the forward line. He said you've worked all year for this last 30 minutes of glory.
Yes, and Mickey Mulder said it will take an enormous effort in this last quarter for the Eagles to get up. He realised it's a big task against this breeze, but he said you are good enough to do it, and make sure that Peter Matura lifts on that wing. Also, Jakovic has got his chance at centre-half forward.
By Anderson. Worsfold. Can West Coast kick the last goal in the last 10 seconds? It's doubtful because Morrissey's onto it. 5 seconds remaining. And look at this, a paddock for Gowers if it sits. Taps it over to Allen as the siren goes now and the Hawks win.
Great to see Dermot Brereton talking with Ashley McIntosh, no doubt realising what a fine young player he's going to be. But the spoils with the Hawks. Down last season, disappointing season. This man installed as coach his second time around, previously as a caretaker, and they've won a resounding victory, one of their finest. Let's go down to Peter McKenna now.
Gary, it must be fantastic. You've been through it many times before. Just as good.
Oh, it's been better, mate. It's even better. They made us off halfway through the year, and we certainly showed them today, mate. It's not bad for a bunch of old hacks.
The young players too, weren't they fantastic?
Yeah, Stevie Lawrence, Ben Allen, Anthony Condon, Andy Gowers, all the guys showed a lot of courage today.
Gary, Paul Deere's performance.
Oh, superb, mate. Absolutely fantastic.
Congratulations again. A great game yourself. Tremendous.
Well, they call him Conan the Barbarian. He's been in 5 premierships now, Gary Ayres. Hawthorn winning 13 out of their last 14. Look at Joyce and Ayres together. After 12 rounds, they were 6th and 7th place. And they've won 13 of the last premiership of this team, who at some stages through this season must have felt that they team in the competition. Number 1 for 24 weeks. But the Hawks have been able to take it from them. And Don, they had so many good players.
Well, they did, Hawthorn, but just let's spare a thought for those West Coast. There's not a worse feeling in football than to run second. It's a shocking feeling. A lot of sympathy for them. I've been there myself, and it's just the worst experience I have ever experienced in football. Let's hope that that hardens them up and they come back stronger next year.
Well, they will, I'm sure.
Well, if they're doing it by degrees, they were third last year, second this season. Hopefully that trend continues.
Well, it took Hawthorn 34 years to get into a grand final as a club. The West Coast quicker time. And you talked about the Joyce record. It is remarkable. He's won 2 night premierships in 2 days. In 2 seasons of coaching at Hawthorn. About Kennedy and Jeans, 2 legends before him. They won premierships. I think 3 and 14 and 3 and 9 you might have mentioned. And now 2 and 2 for Joyce. Well, it was a victory that halfway through the season you wouldn't have expected. Chris Langford, who had the job on Peter Sumich, is with Peter McKenna.
Chris, just as good as ever.
I think this probably takes the cake, Peter. I think we've had a fairly low approach this year, and fantastic way to successful, obviously the Eagles, and for us it was great. Yeah.
And a terrific battle again between.
Yeah, I was disappointed. Let him get off too, but they made it a hell of a fight for the rest of the day, and he's a good player. And big marks to him to kick 5 goals on the losing side.
Experienced players on the back line. Gary Ayres, they must be terrific to play with.
Oh, it's fantastic. I think the all through the game was very sure, and just throwing themselves in was just brilliant.
And the young players were great too.
Benny Allen, Hutto, those guys, it's great for them, so young, to play so well.
Congratulations, Chris. Go and enjoy the celebration.
Good on you.
Let's go down. Who has Alan Joyce?
Yeah, I have the victorious coach here, Alan Joyce. Alan, they were fantastic today, a magnificent performance.
Yeah, they were, Bernie. Today, we have to play like that to beat them, and they were magnificent. Thank you.
Totally committed. Well done, Alan.
I think Alan's pretty keen to get over and celebrate with the players. That was one of the quickest interviews. But they did it superbly, really, in the last quarter. There's Tucky, 7 premierships. Don, you've played with him on these occasions. I mean,
league football. When he first came down, he was a shy, introverted fellow, and when you used to say hello to Tucky, he was like a. You turn his back, but
you probably frightened him.
Well, I think a lot of people frightened him. There was nothing of him. There was just nothing of him. Just up there, and it's a fantastic effort. What a, in years, not years, but he put in 2 years in the reserves before he got his.
Well, I think he played 50 reserves games, and he's played 400. Well, they say, Dennis Cometti, sometimes you have to lose a big one to learn how to win one, and West Coast have been there now.
Yeah, just interesting, that conversation. You get the feeling already the season has started next season.
They're planning for something.
And that's all you can do in this situation. I mean, they really the entire state, but they were outplayed by one of the great teams. Let's go down to Dermot Brereton now with Burning Quinn.
Another magnificent performance by the Hawks. Yeah, very lucky again, aren't we? We're very fortunate being this side. I don't think luck comes into it. They worked very hard today and they were totally committed. Yeah, I feel a bit sorry for Eagles throughout the year for sure, but they weren't the best team in the and they'll probably be the side to beat next year. Grand final experience comes into it a lot, doesn't it, Dermot? And I think so. They're if I was in the first quarter, because it takes a bit of nerves, there's the nerves there, and it takes a bit of settling down and getting used to it. So they weren't going to kick many with it. Whoever kicked with it, and work hard into the win first quarter, and then take full advantage of it 2 quarters later on. All right, thanks. My pleasure. Thank you.
He's 20 finals and won 5 premierships. Let's go down for the presentation for the 1991 premiers.
Premier, Lord, we've watched a fantastic game today, and we should. The West Coast Eagles were putting up a marvellous performance on the arena today. But to the victors go the spoils, and we've final Hawthorn Football Club. Congratulations to Hawthorn. The winner of the Norm Smith decision, Paul Deere of Hawthorn. Present the medallion, David Cloak, Richmond champion.
Just a dream come true.
To present the Premiership Cup to the captain of Hawthorn, Michael Tuck. May I introduce to you the ex-VFL Chief Executive and, of course, one of the instigators of the
Well, before Eric McCutcheon presents the cup, I think I'd love to present the Premiership medallions to the following Hawthorn players, and I know you'll give them a big welcome up here. Number 1, Ray Jenke. Number 2, and what a fine comeback, Chris Mew. Number 3, Anthony Condon. Number 4, and Number 6. Oh. Number 7, his 5th Hawks, Gary Ayres. Dean Anderson. Number 11, Darren Jarman. And number 12, and didn't he play a great game, Stephen Lawrence. You've already seen him up on the dais, Paul Deere. Number 15. Allen, by the way. 16. Number 18, Darren Pritchard. When they 23, the kid who's now a veteran, Dermot Brereton. Number 24, another great game from Chris Langford. ...1971, and he's done it in 1991, Paul Hudson. Number 35, and didn't he hold things together in that first half? James Morrissey. Come on, Jamie. Number 44, the Rat, Johnny Platten. Playing in his 11th grand final, well, the indefatigable Michael Tuck. And what about it for the coach? His second premiership with the Hawks, Alan Joyce. And I think we're set now for the presentation of the one Premiership Cup.
I would just like to thank Mr. Chairman and the members of the AFL Commission for given me to participate in these proceedings. I have great pleasure in presenting Premiership Cup to Hawthorn.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like firstly to pay tribute to the West Coast Eagles on their performance today and their performance during 1991. Unfortunately, in this game, there's got to be a winner and a loser in the last one like this, and they were magnificent competitors today, and I suppose we've levelled the score with games this year. But to the players of the Hawthorn Football Club, you are magnificent today, and thank you to all the Hawthorn supporters. Thank you.
Well, I guess you'd like to see them do a lap of honour, would you? They've had a hard day at the office, but I'm sure they can raise the effort. There's Kentucky having a...
So a magnificent performance by Hawthorn. Michael Tuck.
Michael, would you take the boys?
The evergreen Michael Tuck. 38 finals and yet another winning one. When will he stop? This has become commonplace for the Hawks in recent times. Gallant in defeat, however, with the West Coast Eagles. They leave the ground. Hawthorn continue to savour their victory. The Hawks begin their lap. The Eagles will look to 1992. Paul Hudson, I'm sure there'll be no prouder person than his father, Peter. And what a comeback by Dermot Brereton. Unsettled by injury. He's had the odd problem at the tribunal, but he's bounced back. I'm sure the Eagles will bounce back too in 92. Brett Heady heads away. Guy McKenna. But it's a day that belongs to the Hawks. Their fans jubilant. Lawrence and Paul Smith medalist. Chris Langford, a fantastic game in defence. And this crowd paying them the tribute they so richly deserve. The Rat, Johnny Platten. Another tremendous finals game by him. The celebrations for Hawthorn have just begun. We'll be back to continue them shortly. Just repeating our final scoreline in the 91 grand final. Hawthorn 20 goals 19, 139. They booted 8 goals, 4 in the last quarter. Jason Dunstall finished with 6, Dermot Brereton 4. The West Coast Eagles just 1 goal 3 in the final term, 13-8, 86. Peter Sumich contributed 5 and Brett Heady booted 4. But the day belongs to the Hawks. With me, Ian Robertson and Ross Glendinning. I guess for you, Ross, a touch of sadness, but what a gallant performance by Hawthorn.
Oh, not so much sadness, Sandy. I just think that certainly Hawthorn with a far better side, a great lesson for the Eagles. In fact, Ian Robbo mentioned during the course of the game, the Eagles could certainly be the team to beat next year. What a great experience for them it has been, particularly for the likes of McIntosh and Djakovic, Robbo, who had been playing so well. And they got caught out today a bit, but they'll learn an enormous amount from that. Yeah, I think, Ross, you really have to go through it. And once you've lost, it's a great idea that the losers stay out there and watch all the glories. I think it was introduced maybe 10 or 12 years ago by one of the opposition coaches who unfortunately lost the game. But that's what you're after. That absolute unbelievable exuberance, excitement, pleasure. I mean, the feeling in the Hawthorn, it is just an incredible feeling. They're on top of the world because they've worked at it for about 10.5 months. Yes. And their team, look, their team spirit is enormous. When you watch those guys go up onto that podium and get their medallion, every one of them gave the fella coming down a tap on the backside, a tap hello, and that's what wins premierships, in my opinion, is the spirit of the team, the spirit of the club, and you can't beat Hawthorn for that. It's fantastic.
Everyone admires it and respects it, and is in awe of it. My word. Right, thank you, gentlemen. As you know, throughout the last few weeks, we've been conducting our Mark of the Year competition. You're invited to phone in throughout the afternoon, and I'm sure you've done that. Let's firstly have a look at the winning mark.
Roving Schwass. Chance for North. Up towards the edge of the goal square. Allison. Allison! A mark! A sensational mark!
I think popular choice as the winner of our Mark of the Year, Brett Allison of North Melbourne. He just kept on climbing. A fantastic grab, and our winner in our Mark of the Year competition comes from Mooralbark in Victoria, Drew Williams of Russell Avenue, Mooralbark, Victoria. Congratulations to you. You are the winner of our Mark of the Year competition. So there's yet another winner on 7 Sport. As fans begin their celebrations, we'll take a break and return shortly. Welcome back. We're still at VFL Park. There's a couple of former Hawthorn champions, John Kennedy, nearest camera, and in the glasses behind, Gary Buckenara, who of course really did excite everyone in that number 11 Guernsey. Well, Hawthorn will be delirious after yet another premiership, and I guess one man at the helm who's been working so hard towards this aim is their chief executive, John Lawrence. Here he is now speaking with Peter McKenna. Pete?
Well, John, they never cease to amaze you, do they? Tremendous character shown once again.
Yes, they're disciplined on and off the field, Peter. They show tremendous character.
You know, in the last 9 years, they've played in 12 grand finals and they've won 9 of them, 5-day and 4-night, 75% strike rate. What more can you say about them? They are sensational. And the coach, Alan Joyce, 4 premierships in 4 goes, not a bad... That's exactly right. He came in after Alan Jeans had the aneurysm in 1987. Alan coached us in 1988, won the night flag, the day flag. He went out for 2 years. He's come back this year and he's won the night flag and the day flag. So he's undefeated.
Well, we all know about Gary Ayres and Chris Mew and Chris Langford, all the experienced ones, but what about some of the performance of the younger players?
Yes, they have to do their apprenticeship at Hawthorn, as you know, and you see these young players coming on, the Paul Deers and the Stephen Lawrences, that type, Paul Hudsons, Benny Allens. You know, they're the basis of Hawthorn for the future, and we're thrilled with them.
You must have been worried in the first quarter, a few indiscriminate free kicks, and but again, the character to come back.
I was more worried about our inaccuracy. We were really squandering chances earlier, but we had a lot of the ball. And, you know, I was confident at half-time that we were in there with a great chance of winning.
Probably for the first time in a long time you've had all your good forwards in the one side together without an injury too.
Yes, it is. We've had our ups and downs, Peter, over the last 2 years with injuries. But apart from Greg Deere, we had a full list to select from. And our flankers played very well today.
Well, congratulations again, John, and enjoy tonight.
I'm sure we will, Peter. Thanks very much.
Yes, I don't think I've seen John Lawrence look so relaxed right throughout the